Hi, I'm Josie Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational system. And I've been working on this particular system for probably 27 years that I've been teaching, trying to distill and find ways of helping other teachers, either those that are new to teaching children with special needs or teachers who have inclusion classes, teach students who learn in different ways. So the actual program has a tiered learning system where I take different learners at different levels and give options for the teachers who are doing small group instruction or independent instruction. What is a very viable way of teaching students of that particular level. And it's a wonderful way to also integrate a class because I have whole group instruction and ways that we can have peer tutoring and peer mentoring within these little groups. So, anyway, take a look at it. You can check my website out, and hopefully, it's something that can help you if you're an educator or a parent. The first couple of weeks of school, just to get children into the process of working together and in groups and centers. Well, our topic today is I've been chatting with you about ways of creating a healthy self esteem. And so the last couple of times I've talked about how certain students that I've worked with had difficulty in connecting with me and being engaged. And so I gave examples of three students of how I worked on their engagement skills. And it really does, you have to really care about your children and your students to connect with them in a way that they can still learn on Zoom. So the Zoom thing was a virtual teaching experience that I had never had before. And I was happy that this past year, not because of COVID, I'm not happy about that at all, but I was happy to be able to reach out and help students who were in their quarantine in their homes with their education. And even when schools started opening up, some of my students were still in their home and I was still working with them. So it's like I'm going to be with you for the duration, so don't worry about this. And one of the things that I noticed though, as I was teaching my students, and it just came to me a little bit later, was the whole process of critical thinking. And this came down to thinking for oneself. And so I started reflecting on that over the last couple of days of how this has always been a challenge for children. Usually it's the group think and, my buddy did it, so I did it or whatever. It's just being able to be independent, healthy, independent thinker. And that's a huge part of self concept to think that your views are important or as important as someone else's. So I said that this is a challenge in our current age as I was reflecting on this, I took some notes down, because it comes from seeking acceptance and connection with others. And it could also be part of the reason for political correctness. But I thought that when we started this whole journey, it was we were coming from a place of compassion and for others that are different from ourselves. But that has morphed into something very different. And I don't know if it's really great, but it's something that makes, I don't think it's great. I think it morphed into something that makes a person feel as though they can sacrifice their own uniqueness and independent thought, original thought, just because everybody else has the same thought of, you want to be like everyone else. When I was going to school, it was a time when people were seeking to express themselves in their own unique way. And I went to a high school in Detroit, Cass Tech. Some of you I found are very familiar with it, but at that time, it was a unique environment because it had students from all over the city coming to this one school because we were you had to like take a test and or have your your grades had to reflect a certain level to be able to get into the school. So we all had this prestige thing going on. But within that group of like my graduating class was like 900 students. So the school had like about 2,000, 3,000 students in it, and a small city basically. But each person wanted to be seen as their own unique person. And so, down the years, this is still and playing in the back of my mind. And that's why this thing about wanting to be like others is problematic, because as a child is trying to develop a healthy self concept, it's self concept, not other concept. So, as I was thinking about this and reflecting on it, I ran across an article that I thought was pretty cool, and I'll be looking at that in detail in the next couple of days. But I thought I'd just preface my work with this article by saying that my students who are at home didn't have the benefit of their social group. And I think that was part of why there was some depression there. But what they turned to is social media. And as we know, that's not the most positive place to get your cues from or a thought process from. And so what I wanted to focus on is how can we teach students critical thinking, how to think for themselves, which is always a challenge. I don't say that I'm an expert, but I'm working on how to express that to others, and how to help my students look at who they are and see their uniqueness. And, maybe they'll be the thought leaders of tomorrow. But we'll be looking at this in the next couple of talks. But until then, please subscribe, please share, and we'll start teasing this out together. Thank you so much. Bye bye.